the time we tend to be seen as too assertive, too emotional. You take things too personal. And how do you shift that? And it's exactly what you say. It's about being able to read a room and really match the tone of other people as well. Everything goes back to objectives. Why are you posting? What's the purpose of it? There's no exact science. Anybody that claims that they know exactly what to do to grow is lying. It's science and art.
Hi, I'm Max, client partner here at Privalgo, and I'm joined here by Ylenia Meliti, SAP Fioneer, Head of EMEA Marketing, and Bianca Bass, CMO of Privalgo. We're going to be talking about B2B marketing and how the industry is shifting.
So I'm Bianca, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Privalgo. We are international payment specialists. Hello, I'm Ylenia, I'm the Head of Marketing at SAP Fioneer, a global banking software provider.
So hello, it's been a while since we last saw each other at the Fintech Marketing Hub last summer.
Great
Lovely
to see
you.
Same here.
I wanted to ask as a first question, what did you see the shift since we last spoke, or this year, since started working in B2B marketing? What's the biggest shift you've seen in B2B marketing happening right now?
I feel that the importance of brand is accelerating. Certainly in my world, in the B2B fintech world, I'm just hearing more and more conversations around what actually is our positioning? What do we want to be known for? In this age of AI, how do we actually show the people operating behind this business? So that for me would be a big shift.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with Bianca. What I've seen not just across the few months, but across a few years, it's like the shift from transactional marketing to more customer-centric marketing. So again, it's all about brand awareness and getting in touch and connection with your customers, which is really prevalent now in comparison to, 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of when you open LinkedIn and you see pretty much 70-80% of posts about building the trust, telling the truth, using tactics from B2C marketing into your B2B plans and tactics and content. Would you agree?
And it's about creating emotional connection as well. And I think traditionally people were thinking that emotional connection was just for B2C. Now people realize as well that B2B marketing is about you still sell to people. You might sell to multiple layers and multiple departments, but you still need to get in touch with those people. So you need to talk through emotional sensation feelings. And I think marketing is shifting towards that. And you can see this on LinkedIn, on any other platform. Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn has probably become even more exhausting since we last met. But I do think there's a really interesting case study emerging for the power of CEO brands. And that's one of my big predictions for 2026.
What is top of your agenda where you work in your work, personal and also company-wise?
So we're undergoing a rebrand at the moment. And the fact that there has been so much buy-in and investment, not just financially, but emotionally in this process, for me is a very different experience to what I would have had 2 years ago. So going back to that brand point, CEO brands, and I think really starting to understand AI marketing tools more. I feel like we've all been dabbling and experimenting, and now we're actually going to start to see the results of that and what that could really look like. For us, really two top priorities. One is ABM, so personalized segmentation, customized approach is more important than ever. And AI, we're still far ahead from having established process and way to use AI. So that's definitely like a big priority for us in the next 12 months.
So you're going of a rebrand at the moment?
Yes.
Big project?
Massive project. It's funny. I think that we've been really intentional about just taking every single stakeholder on that journey. And one of the things that I've learned in my career is that if you do a big showcase reveal and everybody around that table hasn't already seen the work, you open yourself up to so much criticism. So instead, I think probably 80% of the project has just been really selling the ideas to each person, understanding the hesitations that they have, really getting into that psychology of what is the fear of change with this and how can we address that? So far, so good.
Yes, we've noticed the shift as well this year. I think we always used to say, we don't do brand, we don't do TV, we don't do above the line. And this year, I would say majority of our project was brand, TV, above the line.
It's interesting. I think 5 years ago or so, we had such a fixation on What's the ROI? I want to really invest in PPC and performance marketing and nothing else matters. But as the costs on that have gone up, people realize that you can't have one without the other. And so it's an interesting shift. It's one that personally, as somebody with a storytelling background, I'm thrilled about. It makes my job just a lot more interesting.
At the same time, it's the one hard to convince other stakeholders when they think there is no tangible ROI sometimes with that immediately. So you need to kind of educate people to go through this journey with you. And I think I will be interested to know from you, from your expertise and your experience now in your company, how do you see that? Because we have done some branding in the past as well. And the challenge that we see so far is as well to make sure that our stakeholders more on the financial side, they understand the long-term purpose, because they are very used to talk about data, conversion, KPIs, as you say.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the key stakeholders has been the CFO.
Okay.
And really bringing him along with me on that journey.
Important, yeah.
And also getting his thoughts on, actually, you are the target profile for this rebrand. So let's bring you in. Let's get into persona work. Let's talk about it really holistically. And I need your challenges in the same way that you need mine. So I definitely think getting your best friend in finance involved early on is key. I also think that there's an interesting moment in a business where we're growing year on year. We've got great revenue growth, but we can start to see that, hold on, can we internally, this is interesting because a few years ago we weren't talking about internal culture so much. Can we internally actually articulate what Privalgo does? Do we have unification on that answer? No. Everybody is giving a completely different answer. That's a problem. That's a business risk. Our sales team is growing and we don't have any kind of consistency. So starting to say, well, hold on, let's look at our retention metrics. Let's look at the fact that in our case, clients may onboard with us, but then they won't trade. That means that our brand isn't resonating or it isn't memorable enough. So then you start to kind of engineer backwards and say, yeah, brand is hard to measure, but we have specific OKRs that we can apply it to. And so I was very straight up with the CEO, the CFO really early on. I said, I want to do this project. I believe in it. And as part of it, I expect we're going to see an uplift in time that it takes somebody to convert, the lifetime revenue that we're going to get when they do onboard with us, going through a long compliance process, in our case being a regulated fintech, how quickly they trade with us. And then they start to say, oh, you're speaking our language, let's speak a bit of yours too.
What soft skills or approaches that maybe brings the, being a woman brings the benefits to encourage CEOs, CFOs to on your side?
I think the first thing that I've learned is that soft skills are not soft at all. They're the hardest skills of all to master. And as women, we do, generally speaking, have more of an inclination towards them. So I think really understanding when you go into a room, not having your defenses up, actually saying, okay, there's a lot of conditioning with the men in this room, for example, and the women. But let's talk about the men for a second. There's a lot of conditioning around the table. Let's understand what their fears actually are. Let's bring so much empathy to this, that it's not just, I need to go in quickly and get my point across, but rather, okay, change is scary. For the founders of this company, they set up the brand in a certain way, and I'm now saying that I want to change it. What is that going to bring up? How can I address that? How can I understand what keeps them up at night? And then speak to that too. I think earlier in my career, and I've heard it said that women speak really quickly because we are expecting to be interrupted at any given point. Earlier in my career, I would go into a meeting and I'd be like, this is what I want to do. And I'd expect to get the no. Instead, now I go in and I just have this really consultative approach and I take up the space and I believe that I deserve to be there. I speak relatively slowly and I just listen as much as I can. And I know that they need me. My perspective and my take is completely different from anybody else around that table. So I'm going to bring it. That's what I'm paid to do. I'm not paid to be like that. I'm paid to be me. So I would say those are the things that I've learned.
So confidence, empathy, and collaboration.
Yes.
Those are key.
And really using that empathy, because it can be, we know that we're in the minority. In fintech, still it's only 11% of board members are women. As per this EY report that came out a couple of years ago, those numbers are tiny. So when I had my first board position at a fintech, I realized I'm not going to stand out being like a man because I can't. So what's the best version of myself that I can be?
Yeah, I do completely agree with what you say, and I'd like to build on them. You talk about collaborative approach, and that really goes down to emotional intelligence. And now I don't want to generalize when you talk about women and men and say, okay, women are more inclined to be emotionally attentive, they are more able to read the room, to read the nuance in the room. But what I realize as well is like most of the time we tend to be seen as too assertive, too emotional. You take things too personal, and how do you shift that? And it's exactly what you say. It's about being able to read the room and really like match the tone of other people as well. It's like you're not below, you're not above, you're equal. And I think that's really important in the conversation and in the collaboration as well. Never think you're below them or above them. Just put yourself as equal. And I think the conversation, the way of working will change because of that. So I think for me, it's really talk as they are your peers. They're not your superior, they're your peers. They just come from different ideas and backgrounds sometimes, different opinions. They can be valued or not, but at the same time, it's about finding a common path, I think. And for me, it's been always like that. And as I learned as well my way to listen sometimes, to pause, to not talk too fast, and sometimes to count until 10 before replying, but that pays off.
So how do you embrace this confidence and take it into building your personal brands on social?
Well, I think the confidence isn't something that you have overnight. Confidence is something you build bit by bit by bit, and that's okay. It's incremental. So when it comes to showing up on social, it can still feel really unnatural for me. But I do think that because we are in the minority, the way that I motivate myself to show up and to share is by saying, I almost view posting like on LinkedIn or sharing my lessons as extending the table. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that is if I can share some advice that I would have loved to have received 10 years ago and I just didn't, then there's always a responsibility with the opportunities that I've been given in my life to pay that forward and to share that. So when it comes to confidence and sharing, to answer your question more specifically, yeah, I think you need to work it like a muscle. Mm-hmm. Understand that everybody has fears. I work with male CEOs who are so confident and out there. The moment that it comes to them showing up on LinkedIn, they are so shy. They're subconscious. They're afraid of what people are going to think of them. So just understand that everybody, unless they're a psychopath, is grappling with this. And that's okay. Yeah. That's part of it. If you have that confidence, it means that you're stretching yourself and you're doing something outside of your comfort zone. And that's amazing. So embrace it. Use it as fuel.
I think as well, as you say, confidence doesn't come overnight. That will come with learning, with mistakes as well. Sometimes we all had post something on LinkedIn at some point that we regret. As the tone was not right, or the audience was not right, or anything. I always use a very basic rule when I post on LinkedIn. So it's always about, will I say the same exact thing to my family or my friends without feeling ashamed because it's actually in great content or it makes sense? Yes or no. Doesn't mean that it's always perfect. Sometimes it doesn't resonate with my audience, but it's about testing and learning. I think now what we see on LinkedIn is as well another shift. Sometimes there's too much consumption, too much sharing, and some content might be more relevant for different social. And I think we cannot agree to that. So it's about finding the perfect balance. And it's not about being always polished and perfect, but just natural and just be yourself. If that's your tone of voice and you're just conversational, you're more formal, that's okay, but that's your voice. So just find your unique voice, I would say, stick to it.
That's such good advice. I think we have to think about LinkedIn, not as this other realm, but as the real world. And in the same way that you don't like everybody, not everybody's going to like you. But if you are using that voice that you would use in the real world, you will attract the right things to speak.
Yeah. What do they say? The algorithm says that you need to post at least once a week to be visible.
It also says you need to be a man, apparently.
That's the new thing on LinkedIn. Certain days and times. I personally disagree. I see many people posting every day, and the content seems redundant. It's always the same stuff. And I don't think the algorithm will praise that. So it's rather less is better. That's my opinion. So don't post every week just to be relevant. If you have something to say which is tangible, is relevant to your audience, yes, have a good cadence and maybe calibrate visual content with thought leadership content, with personal content, but don't overdo. So I wouldn't say the algorithm is always right.
Agreed. Everything goes back to objectives. Why are you posting? What's the purpose of it? There's no exact science. Anybody that claims, kind of like stock markets, anybody that claims that they know exactly what to do to grow is lying. It's science and art, and sometimes it's totally random. So have fun with it. Post. The right content will find the right people.
And would that be the same advice if you would sit face to face with your CEO and your task would be to build his employee-generated content profile on socials?
Yeah. The way that I view it is you're building a body of work. It's not about individual posts. It's about building up a consistency over time.
You will probably back your theory with data. Like you can show how much engagement, how much impression actually has every single post. So you will see posting more doesn't mean more engagement. And sometimes with C-level, data works. It's better to inform the decision based on actual data and performance.
So of course, other than employee and user-generated content on socials, what would you say are key two things at the moment in B2B marketing to focusing on?
So I think now it's always good to mix technical skills and soft skills, as we say before. It looks like the next generation, we need to have creativity, but as well a good foundation on analyticals and data, because it's an ever-evolving market, right? And there's never enough to know and to apply to your day-to-day job. And I think this is really where the game changer is, blending creativity, thought leadership, as well analytics and data and technology.
Love that. You mentioned account-based marketing earlier. I would say hyper-personalization, really tailoring those communications, not being afraid to be quite niche and quite narrow, and understanding that people are so tired of content out there. We all kind of just glaze over at most stuff. So it has to feel like you actually as a brand understand.
It resonates you.
Yeah.
There's a huge risk with AI now, right? There's been a lot of talk about work slop with using AIs and having everything written as it looks like it's AI written and sent en masse to many people. So how would you try and avoid that?
I would not use an M or N dash.
I think they've updated it now.
Well, sometimes it's grammatically correct.
Yeah.
But I find it very suspect.
For me, it will be always to start from the scratch, write your content. Let's go to AI to announce, maybe check the grammar, whatever it is, but just do that bulky work on your own, because that's the only way. And this is what we said to the team as well. It's okay if you want AI to help you, to announce, to polish, but please draft and write your content, do your research, create your own thought leadership, and ask AI just to announce your content.
And would you say it's going to become like an integral part of marketing planning and marketing strategies? And what will be AI and automated versus what would be still human element and have to be done by the person?
Yeah, well, I think it already has become a vital, integral part. I've heard it described that it should be, to your point, person, AI, person. Almost a sandwich. And I agree with that. But I think that we shouldn't be afraid of these tools. We should be thinking this can accelerate so much and embracing them as best we can. Also, the importance of really working with the AI tools that you have to help them understand your brand. So you don't have to brief every time or prompt every time. Help it build up an intelligence about you.
I think, the point is about scaling as well. And AI can give you that flexibility to scale and not to have to repeat the same thing over again. So it's really about automating, scaling, and enhancing activities. So in my view, operation is an easy one because no one wants to be bothered with hours of spreadsheet or data cleansing, for example. But when it comes to content audit, for example, AI can be really powerful to understand what gaps do you have in your funnel, what type of thought leadership you should focus on. And then you go back to the human dimension, right? Who's going to write those content?
Yeah.
But AI can help you detect you and define the strategy of your content, for example, funnel. So that would be a great angle.
Yeah, and have fun with your prompts as well. A friend sent me this great template, which was when I do brand work or comms work, setting up your own expert brand panel. So on mine, I have Steve Jobs, Brene Brown, Simon Sinek, Seth Godin, and my AI is built around that. I'm like, what would the panel think of this LinkedIn post?
Love it.
What would the panel think of this email campaign? And they come back and, sometimes it's very cliche, but it just helps you in your head have a bit of a debate with pushing the work forward.
So when you started working in marketing,
Yes.
maybe there's two questions to it. First one, when you started working in marketing, what was the best advice you got from someone that changed your whole experience and made you become the marketer you are?
Ooh, I don't think I got good advice. I think everything I've learned these past 15 years or so has been from making mistakes.
I think my advice was actually tied to that. Someone told me at the very beginning, don't be afraid to ask questions. I remember at the very beginning, I was scared to ask too many questions because I didn't want to look stupid or too junior or to I want to know more and more. But someone told me, ask question, ask any question, because that helps push your boundaries. That helps as well build your confidence and your trust. I did that and I still do that. I'm still asking a lot of questions. And that was probably the best advice at the very beginning.
Yeah, and when you are asking those questions, don't be afraid to understand the business inside out. Really get into what is commercial impact? How does this company work at scale? What's my direct contribution numerically to this? So nobody gave me that advice, but I did observe the people that were really growing and being promoted. They spoke the language of the business.
It's found some role model anyway.
Well, yeah, I think that people are mentoring each other all the time.
Yes.
In good and bad ways. So
Even unconsciously, sometimes it's not clear that someone is mentoring you, but it happens naturally.
yeah,
That they will remember, that time, that person really gave me some good advice and was steering. Yeah,
it's certainly be a sponge. Even now, I just observe everybody around me and I say, okay, why is that person doing particularly well? Or why in that meeting did that person's point really land? And so you have to study the people around you.
That goes back to emotional intelligence, as we said before, that we have it. We observe the room and we capture the nuance of people, what they say and why they say certain things.
So I think this is a great advice. Ask questions, learn from mistakes, sponge the knowledge, watch people who are doing well. And now imagine putting it into a scenario where you're 20 now, you're going to the uni, study marketing, and the world is changing, as we know, very rapidly. What would be your advice now? Where should they focus? What their life's going to look like in next years?
If I were to go back to my 20-year-old graduate self and imagining that she would be graduating now, I think I would just take her hand and say, you really don't need to worry as much as you will be fine about every single little thing. I graduated in the last big recession. And I remember at the time, it was all this talk about you're never going to be able to get a job. It was going to be so difficult. And I was just petrified of everything. And I was overthinking everything. And I think in your 20s, it's about collecting experiences. You don't have to have a perfect roadmap, plan. Just gather as many experiences as you can. Meet as many people as you can. Fail forward. And yes, upskill, gather all the technical knowledge, but nothing will ever replace being really great to work with. Personality-wise, there is nothing that can do better than people just liking having you around, you being really proactive, and of course, fantastic at your job. But don't underestimate the personality side of things, and don't undervalue what a good collection of experiences can do for your confidence.
I completely agree. For me, will be just be curious, just learn, connect with people, learn from people, and don't be scared to maybe not every job will be the perfect job, but it will give you something at the end. There will be a skill or a memory or an experience that will stay with you forever. And even me, sometimes, when I'm thinking of jobs, I took 20 years, I was like, oh my God, what I was doing. But actually now I'm thinking back, of course, and I learned something, and it kind of shaped the person or the marketer that I am now. So it's all about ongoing experience. So don't take it for granted.
Such a good point. I have had some terrible jobs.
We all had. We all had.
Shockingly bad jobs.
Maybe we can do an episode on that ones without names.
Like there are whole startup horror stories. I could start a whole podcast on.
Yes, okay.
But every experience, to your point, it just strengthened me. It made me more confident and it helped me understand different industries. So now working in B2B, where we work with clients, different sectors, I'm so grateful.
And it helps you understand as well what you want for yourself, for your career, your ambition, your path.
Yeah.
That helped you, right?
Totally. 20 to 30, just go and gather the lessons. Don't worry so much. Of course, get your money, get your salary accelerating, but you just want experience and exposure.
Yeah, I would say at the beginning, don't be choosy, just get experience. Yeah, don't be that selective. I think there is a time to not settle and to be very selective to what I want to do in life. Yeah. But at the beginning, it's really to build the foundation of your journey, your education, your experience.
And don't overthink it.
Yeah.
I wasted.
And just have fun as well.
Have fun. This is the freest you're ever going to be in your life.
Yeah.
Just embrace it. Yeah.
So what do you think the next generation of women in B2B marketing should be focusing on?
I think they should focus on maybe blending two different dimensions. One is the technicality of the job, of course, kind of learning the latest tool, the latest technology. Of course, AI is prominent, but as well, I focus on nurturing some natural soft skills and the ones that are important in the commercial environment. I think looking at the generations as well to embrace the fact that we live in a society that needs more diversity. So marketers and companies to be successful now need to really focus on creating diversified talents and pool, and they need to create processes or programs that they foster that. So I would say if I would need to stick to one condition, one value will be go towards diversity and create diversified jobs and environment for the next generation.
Yeah, that's so beautifully said. Alongside that, I would say, please prioritize yourself. We need you. We need female leaders in B2B marketing. We need more representation, but it's very difficult to do that and sustain that if you're not looking after yourself. Find the things that make you feel like you. Find the people that make you feel embodied and enlivened. Have a really, really solid group of female friends that you can celebrate each other and you can really talk about some of the challenges and keep going. But I think that foundation is key for success.
So thank you so much for all the comments. Of course. Love our conversations. I feel very empowered, very motivated. So thanks again for sharing your experiences.
Of course, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.